You know, I think about the Boy Scouts, and I started, when I knew I was going to come talk, I started, of course, reading a little bit more, learning a little bit more, and it's amazing the similarities that the Boy Scouts organization has with what we're doing at Tennessee, coaching a football team. And three things really hit me about Tennessee and the Boy Scouts. And the first is tradition. An organization that's been here over 100 years, there's no greater testament to a person, an organization, than their ability to stand the test of time. And you're doing something right when you can continue on for over 100 years, and that's what the Boy Scouts have done. And it says a lot about it. Now, Tennessee, as we all know, has phenomenal tradition. And what tradition does is it links you to the past. And it makes you realize that there's something much greater out there than you. And the expectation level is even greater because you represent now over 100 years of doing things a certain way. And our players in many ways have lost that. A lot of the young guys now, they don't know what happened in the past, and we're doing a lot of things to educate them on the championships that were won at Tennessee, the great players. Holloway. ESPN is doing a documentary, and it's called The Year of the Quarterback. And each month they pick 12 quarterbacks in history that have just made a tremendous impact on the game. And Conridge is one of them. Special group. Because he was the first black quarterback to start in the Southeastern Conference. Documentary on the Conridge-Holloway story. And it's a story that not only celebrates the tradition of Tennessee, but it also celebrates the change and the tough times that guys like Conridge went through to break the barrier of race. And our players have no idea. One of the players who saw the documentary, he came back the next day and he said, "Man, I didn't know that dude played football." Because as you know, Conridge is in our office and he works every day and they have no idea what some of the traditions are. So that's a great starting piece for any organization if you develop a tradition. Now, secondly, what's most impressive is the winning culture. We sat there and heard Ed give the report on the success of the Boy Scouts and Eagle Scouts, and you see all the great leaders in society. For the players to really think through, because all they're looking at right now is immediate results. They want to go out there and they want to start, they want to win the Heisman, they want to win this, but they don't want to do anything day to day to get them to achieve that. So teaching the players how to approach work every day, the discipline that you come with, the toughness that you bring, your attitude, all those values is in pursuit of continuous improvement every day. And then they begin to develop as players. They get bigger, they get stronger, they get faster, they get more in tune mentally, so they don't get affected when bad things happen. And that's a process. So those two components is the heart of us bringing back the winning culture and winning those banners that Tennessee did for so long. We got to get the right people, and then we got to develop them the right way. And when you get those two things, we're going to be on our way. Now, the third thing that the Scouts does that's so similar to what we're doing is taking something you love. And our guys obviously love to play football. And using it as a vehicle to help shape them and develop them as people, developing them as men. And y'all have heard a lot about our VFL program, essentially a comprehensive player support program that has nothing to do with training them as football players, nothing to do with training them in academics, but everything to do with some of the things that are more important than anything you can get in college. The character education, the life skills, the career development, all those things that helps you grow as a man, that ultimately helps you represent this program forever, forever. Because I believe that there's two major changes in today's society more than anything that's so different than 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Even my father was coaching. One is, it's probably the entitlement of young people is greater now than it's ever been. Very narcissistic group of young people, for whatever reason. All right, we're all born self-absorbed. We're all born worrying about us and how it affects me. And then how you get developed over the next 18 years determines whether you break out of that mold of always worried about you and how it affects you and not others in the program. And somewhere along the way, we're losing that. All right, obviously, there's more broken homes than there's ever been before. There's less role models in many ways on a day-to-day basis. And even where there is broken homes, the parenting seems to be so much centered around the child. How can I make him happy? I got to make him happy. You know, we're so worried about kids being happy. And what happens is we do so many things to keep them happy, and we're developing values that's going to ultimately result in them being unhappy when they're older. So we have to break down that entitlement. We get a lot of it. And I talked a little bit about the recruiting services the other day, about how we talk about how great these players are, and they really haven't done anything. And it just adds to the entitlement that we have to break down. Now, what comes with that, we've lost our civility in many ways. You know, we brag about how connected we are. Facebook, Twitter, texting, all this stuff. We're connected. And I believe we've become more disconnected than ever before as a society. You know, I look at our guys, they don't even talk to each other anymore. They text. I had a player the other day, we're struggling to get to him because I'm kind of old school. I look them in the eye and I try to get in their soul. And they have a hard time communicating. And eventually I threw my hands up because we're looking at his textbook and you would think this guy's the social butterfly. He talks or Facebook. What did I say? Textbook, Facebook. Social butterfly. So I told our assistant coach, the next meeting you have with him to try to motivate him and get him right, tell him to bring his phone and sit across from each other and just start texting. And maybe we can tap into him a little bit. All right, so we got our work cut out for us because so many things that are happening in our society are breaking down some of the basic values that Boy Scouts is teaching. And that's what's great about Boy Scouts. The values that they're putting in our young people. They're teaching them about discipline, and they're teaching them about hard work, and they're teaching them that life sometimes doesn't go your way. You not always get what you want, and you got to learn to deal with it. So ultimately, you said it best when you talked about why is a coach in it? Are we in it? Yeah, if we don't win, we know we're not going to be here very long. We do know that. But our reward comes from exactly what you said, Robert, and that's thanks, Coach. Coach, I appreciate what you're doing for me. 20 years from now, Coach, you know what? You didn't make a lot of sense when you were talking to us and screaming at us all the time, but I appreciate what you're doing for me. And I believe this, that when we tie in the right kind of value set, and then we put the demands of what kind of competitors we are together, that's when you, the fans, will look at our football team and look at our football program and walk around proud to be volunteer fans. And proud of the young men that are out there competing, and proud when you're reading about them 10 years from now and 15 years from now the right kind of way. So ultimately, what do I wish for them? I wish for them to come in and win championships. We got to get those banners back up in the indoor facility that we had for so long. We all want them to get a degree so they can better their lives, but more than anything, I want them to leave Tennessee. I want to touch them in ways that's going to stay with them forever as better people. And if we do that, I think we'll all feel proud about our program.